whatnot when we come out of this pandemic or whatever. Um, I suppose I wanted just a quick mention to the coaching staff in Westmeath GA. I'm not going to name them all, but they know who they are. And I just want to say a big shout out and a big thanks to the guys, because they really have, they're playing a stormer here. They're adapting to new ways of providing information and providing courses and everything. So fair play to all the coaching staff. Equally fair play to all the people who are engaging with them. You know, this is a new ground for us all, so it's a credit to everyone. Obviously tonight is about the club coaching officer, and look at, we've all been at AGMs where it's gone on for 2 or 3 hours and everyone just wants to get out of there, and the club coaching officer is one of the last roles to be appointed, and someone just sticks their hand up so the meeting can finish or whatever. In my opinion, it probably should be one of the first officers elected, because it's such an important role. You know, like the club coaching officer is pretty much guiding the club over the course of the year and whatever, and the coaching within the club over the course of the year. So it is, I don't want to put anyone off, but it is a very important job and a very important role, and there's loads of help and resources there available, both with Westmeath coaching and games and nationally and at Leinster level. So there's loads of help out there, but I would emphasise how important the role is, and I would love to see at AGMs this role being filled a lot earlier in the billing than it currently gets. So that's pretty much all I want to say. Thanks everyone again for logging in. Thanks to our staff, and I'll hand you back over there to Thomas.
Perfect. Thanks, mate. So the overview tonight. So what we'll be going through tonight is the player pathway and the role of the coaching officer within that, the roles and responsibilities of the club coaching officers, the skills and qualities of a good coaching officer, planning, implementation of key initiatives, resource and supports, summary and conclusion. Okay, we'll try and make it as interactive as possible, but a lot of these things it's hard to get as much interaction as we usually would in a face-to-face course, but we'll try and make it as interactive as possible. Just so you're aware, this being recorded, just so it goes back out to, just so we have it if anyone needs it afterwards to review. So the first thing we're going to get to do is going to watch the Coach 10 video. Okay, so this is the coaching model that we'd like clubs to implement. Within this, you'll see a lot of good stuff in it, how we should coach, as a coaching officer, what we should be looking out for within our coaches and what we should be looking out for our coaches to do. Okay, so we'll play this, and if any questions after it, feel free to ask us. Can you hear that?
Not here at the minute, Thomas.
Can you hear that, Tommy?
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah, just give me a second. I'll go back out and share it again. Just give me a second, sorry.
Framework for ensuring effective.
Yeah.
The Coach 10 MVA model is a framework for ensuring effective coaching. It looks at the different factors that help create the formula for coaching success. What is a coach? A coach is a person who assists and challenges players to achieve their full potential. What capacities do coaches need? Coaches need to build a management and leadership capability derived from experience and reflection. Coaches who gain the necessary experience and who engage in reflection progress from an emerging to an established level before reaching an enlightened state. What capacities do players need? Players will achieve their full potential by developing the necessary competence, confidence, commitment, conviction, and connection. These are developed as the player progresses through the player pathway from child to youth to adult. What is the key to optimizing coach and player performance? The coach-player interconnection is key to optimizing the performance of the coach and the player. How do we define this interconnection? We define this interconnection in terms of motivation and vocational attributes, or MVA. M, motivation. It is essential in terms of motivating players that the coach is passionate, principled, persistent, perceptive, and persuasive. V, vocational. Best practice involves organizing purposeful, age-related activities and challenges. A, attributes. These inputs support the development of relationships that build trust, self-esteem, family feel, high morale, and team spirit. Why does this work? When the MVA is underpinned by a series of values, it is empowering, energizing. It builds engagement and enthusiasm around excellence, resulting in optimum performance. A coach who can deliver on the motivation and vocational attributes has become a master of value-laden acumen and can coach to the power of 10. Lead the way with the MVA. Ensure participants play to stay with the GA.
So within that video, we've loads of good stuff there, both coaches coaching and how we want our players coached. So I know there kind of focuses on the coaches and the player side of things, but as a coaching officer, we see the role as the coaching officer as the person who's going back and ensuring that that journey is being made for the players. Okay, that there's a certain area on that journey that the coach is falling down on, that the coaching officer is spotting that and helping there. Okay, it might mean that the coaching officer goes and seeks someone to upskill a coach in a certain area for that to happen. Okay, so our image of a coaching officer in the Coach 10 model would be how they're working with the coaches to develop that program. Okay, did that video make sense to everybody? If anyone has any questions on it, if you want to just throw in chat or turn on your speakers, feel free. Perfect. So a lot of us would have seen this before, and I suppose as coaching officers, it plays a huge part in our jobs. So we all know the 3 stages of the player pathway. Okay, there's the child phase, which is the play to learn, where children are literally just playing the game, first of all, for enjoyment, okay, and then to learn the skills of the game. We say that that's the go game years, so that's 4 to 11 years of age, okay. Our next stage is the youth phase, so it's to learn to compete. So at this stage, kids are going to get their first competitive experience, okay. So if we think about that 12-year-old, their first game is usually the FADA. So they're going straight from a fun phase to a competing phase. Okay, and we say that phase is from 12 to 17 years of age. And then we have the adult phase, which is 18 to 20, 18, sorry, the whole way up until players retire. And then we try and get them involved in coaching or maybe becoming a coaching officer. Okay, and that phase is the compete to win phase. Now, within our clubs, a lot of us will have club pathways to allow 4 players, which will integrate all these 3 stages. Okay. So again, as the coaching officer, it's making sure that the needs of each age group is being hit. Okay, so if a skill set that we want our players to have at 6 years of age is be able to throw the ball and catch the ball, then we're looking at the coaching officer maybe going around to make sure that 6-year-olds coming out of this nursery age group are able to throw and catch the ball. Okay, so you be enforcing or looking after the player pathway. Okay. In the last year, the GAA launched a new player pathway. Okay, so there's a lot of work done into this. For this to happen, all the stakeholders in the GAA were represented. So there was evenings held in every county, and actually some people on this would have been involved in it. So within each county, there was a steering committee or an evening where people sat down and gave their opinions. The people represented on it were the players. So there were senior players represented. There were school players represented. So we're looking at our 16-year-olds who were playing for 7 or 8 teams at a time. We had parents of the development squad players. We had coaches from development squads, secondary school teachers, club coaches, games development staff. So there was a huge array of knowledge within the room when we were doing this, and that was collected from 32 counties. So Mick Dempsey and Brian Cuthbert put all this information into a program that Brian has, and they came up with a program based on it. Now the program is out there, and it was released in just before Christmas, I think. So if you look it up, it's a great read anyway. The big thing they said about it was that the center of all our players should be the club. Okay, so we see in this here, I think you can see the cursor. So the player pathway, the club is in the middle of everything. Okay, we call it the F3 phase. F1 and 2 are just fundamentals and our nursery age groups. So that whole progression. We have T1, T2, T3, T4. So T1 was the demonstration potential. T2, the verification potential. So that was our development squad ages. Okay, practice and achievement was T3, and T4 is our breakthrough. Okay, again, if you look at the circle, it's a breakthrough to our senior. Okay, and also our transition into our elite senior into county players. Okay, so that's our high performance, category. So that was the latest player pathway was released. What we might do is we might put the paper of that up on the chat so you can look at it. It'd be very good reading for club coaches to see the different areas and where everything is focused on. So again, the first phase, play to learn to compete to win. So what we have here is the games development activities within GAA. So if we look at player welfare with the GAA 15 warm-up, our concussion course, cardiac screening courses, defibrillator guidelines, supplement guidelines, implementing player safety guidelines, gum shields and helmets, Garda vet and basic awareness. So then we have our games opportunities, which are our Go games, our youth fixtures, cross-county fixtures, Talent Academy fixtures, super game centres, adult fixtures, internal leagues and club blitzes. So stuff that we're all actively involved in. Okay. Then we have our developmental opportunities. So these are our areas where we can improve our clubs and bring them forward. So our games development planning, our nursery program. So I think most of the clubs now in Westmeath have nurseries set up. Our club player pathway, our Taurus, which is something that we've been rolling out the last couple of years. Most clubs have cool camps or club camps. A primary school coaching link. Again, in Westmeath, we're lucky that we have that link done up. Most clubs. Again, we have the school coaching program, which sees coaches going out to schools, and then with the open day as well, that ties it in nicely. The teacher support, our talent academies, coach education, so that's our foundations, award 1, our coach development, and our GAA respect initiatives and skill challenges. Okay, so our player welfare stuff is stuff we can have there for learning. Okay, our Garda vetting and implement playing safety standards, they're compulsory. Okay, but the player welfare side of things, we have a lot of opportunities there for players and coaches to learn. Our games opportunities is stuff we're already doing at present. Okay, so it's stuff that we're actively doing on the ground at the moment. And then our development opportunities is an opportunity for our clubs to grow. Okay, so again, you might see stuff within them development opportunities yourselves that you might want to try and really drive on within your clubs as the coaching officer. So Tommy, I'd pass it on to you. Tommy, do you want to share your screen for this?
Yep, perfect. I'll get that going now. Just give me 1 second. Just 1 second. No. Yep, there it is. Can you see that, Thomas? What can you see?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Perfect.
That's it. Okay. So just this part here, what I'm going to go through is just a GAA planner. I'm sure most people on this course should, or webinar should know about it anyway, but this tool here, it's a really good resource. All right. So you can register for, and you can register for the GAA learning here. So again, I'm logged in already, but once you do a foundation course, you have to register for this anyway. I'll just go through the planner. and why it's such a really good resource and why we find it is such a good resource. Just give me 1 second to load. So you can see here, whatever age group you're working with, say you're working with your under 7s or 9s, there's tons and tons of activities here and drills for your age groups. Okay, so say I'm working with the hurling group here and it's working 7s to 9s. In this bit here, whatever you want to work on, your fundamental movement skills, your gaining possession, maintaining possession, releasing possession, and so on. All these sessions are here. Activity type, then you have your condition games, your practical play, fun routines, advanced drills, and so on. Just the part that we really want to show you. So say you're working on your gaining possession, and we're working on the ground block tonight, and then we want to go and do a drill on that. So we go in here. Okay, so now with this here, it shows you exactly how the drill should work. Okay, what way it's lined out, how to organize it, but then as well as that, it shows you a video. All right, and then this is how it should look. It's fine looking at diagrams and so on, but when you get to see a video of a drill, you can actually see, okay, this is the way it should be. All of these activities have videos with them, and it goes through this. The most important bit, or the one bit that we find that is the most important for you, is if you're working with your under 7s for the year, you can actually add this to a coaching session. So you see here, this is the drill we did tonight. So I want to add that to a session. So now I'm going to add a session, so a new session, and we'll say under 7s. So now this is added here, so we'll save that. When you're registered, you can go back in, and up in the top corner here, you have all your sessions saved. So if you're working with your under 7s for the year, we have a bank of sessions saved here. So if I'm moving on to the under 9s next year, for the coach that's moving up to the under 7s, I can hand them all these sessions, and now their whole year is planned out in front of them. So the one thing that we'd advise yourselves as coaching officers, that every coach in the club is using this. Okay, you can print these off, then you can save them as PDFs, print them off, and you could actually leave them in the clubhouse, okay, in a folder and so on. So it's just a resource that's there. It's free. All you have to do is register. And again, every coach in your club should, and you'll be trying to push them that they are registered for it. On this, then there's loads of different activities again. Just go back here a wee bit. If you're working with your nursery as well, there is resources here. So your GA courses. It's going to load. So go to your coach. And then we have Leinster, and you can see all the courses that are online here as well for that, okay, and Westmeath, so on. So there's tons and tons of resources, and Niall said at the start, online as well as going through us, but this is definitely one that we would encourage you as a club that you get onto your coaches to get this going. And again, saving them as a PDF, which you can hand on to the coach that's coming up for the year again. Okay, so it's just something that we have there. Share my screen now, Tom.
Perfect. I'm going to pop back to the presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, so can everyone see my screen again? Yeah, perfect. So there's many roles of the club coaching officer, okay? So what we have here is the 14 probably most important ones. What we want you to do is within the chat there, just rank the top 3 that you think are the most important to you as coaching officers. So for example, if I think that 7 is the most important, I'll put 7 down, I'll put 9 second, and I'll put 11 third. Okay, so on the bottom of your screen here, you'll see a little chat button. Click on the chat button and just type in the 3 that you think are the most important to you, and we'll have a little discussion on it in a minute, if that's okay. Tommy, will you keep an eye on them as they come in?
Yeah, we'll just give them a minute to read through them.
Yeah.
So we have from John 4, 14 and 7 as the first 3.
Oversee production of a game development plan, 14 player welfare initiatives, and 7 creating awareness of coaching standards as a and resources. Brilliant.
Perfect. So we'll keep them coming in, guys. If we have 4, 7, and 13, so 4 again, 7 again, and 13 new ones. So
Proposed strategies to increase participation in the club. Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah. We have 14, 8, and 3.
Organise coaching course and workshops to upskill coaches and liaise with the county coaching and games development committee and coaching. Brilliant.
Next one is 1, 10, and 7.
Be an active member of the club executive. 7, creating awareness of coaching standards, and 10, recruit key personnel within clubs.
Again, we have the same one again. We have 14, 8, and 3, so that was the same as one above. Ronan has 7, 8, and 1.
Brilliant.
Next one is 4, 8, and 13. I think we had all them numbers. We didn't have 4, did we?
Oversee the production of a club development plan for the club.
4, 7, and 11.
So we're probably seeing a lot of the same stuff here as coaching officers. So we've kind of said here, creating awareness of coaching standards and resources. Yourselves as coaching officers, how can we achieve that, or how are we going to work on doing that? If anyone wants to put that in the chat or open microphones, have any started to do that process already? I know we've no GA activity going on now, but have you, in your own heads, how are you thinking you're going to implement that, or creating awareness and coach standards and resources in clubs? If any you want to come in on that on the microphone, feel free.
So learning.GA is a good start. Engage with the tourist workshops.
Brilliant.
Upskill the coaches for starters. Another one.
Brilliant.
Great place to start.
And that's probably the next part there. So 7 and 8 were 2 that kept coming up a lot of the time. So organising coaching courses and workshops to upskill club coaches. And I suppose the big thing with them is when they're organised to get as many people on them as we can. So what we try and do is we try and have courses fairly central to clubs to look for them. So say, for example, if we're doing one in Tyrrell's Pass, we might invite Milltown Pass and Roxford Bridge to it. Okay. But again, if we get 20 coaches from Tyrrell's Pass, then what we'll do is we'll just host with Tyrrell's Pass coaches. And then for yourselves as clubs, then you're getting a chance to have that interaction with your own coaches and having that nearly community of practice, which we don't always get to have with our own coaches. As part of the tourist this year, we started doing club tourist days. And what we had within that was a community of practice. So we did one in Tommy's Club in Castlepollard this year. And the great thing about that was all the Castlepollard coaches are in a room together, and they can nearly start implementing their own development plans as well, and what they're seeing at the top and how they can work that back down to filter it back down to the bottom. So for example, if there's a certain area that players coming through to the senior panel are deficient in or lacking in, you can start to bring that back down, filter it back down. How can we work to rectify that going forward? So having them community of practice are very, very strong evenings where you can get a load of good information out there. Stuff that you might hear passing by, but you never really get a chance to discuss. I know I found that even in Castlepollard this year brilliant in terms of getting that out in the open and getting the ideas starting or discussion starting around it.
We just have a few more going in there. So upskill, bring help into the club. So that obviously would be ourselves probably going into the club. Gather new people to become coaches and get their skills up. Encourage participants as coaches. Upskill those coaches, engaging with resources available. And then last one is bring ex-players into coaching.
Brilliant.
Yeah, good stuff.
A lot of the time we'll probably find if we just take that point of getting coaches involved, it's probably the coaching officer's job to get people involved. And especially when they're nursery, that's probably the age where we try to get people in straight away. We have them hooked in then for the next 15, 16 years of their kids' development. And one way we found it works is if you're doing circuits as your nursery age group, for the coach that doesn't feel comfortable or the ex-player that doesn't feel comfortable coming in coaching skills, or the parent starting off that doesn't feel comfortable, that isn't familiar with the game, a great way to get them involved again is just by getting to a fun game. have your fun game in your nursery set up or your nursery circuit, and any parent will feel comfortable doing a fun game. Okay, and once they're kind of over the barrier or in the barrier, it's easier then to get them involved again. You know, they'd be sitting there looking at the store, standing there looking at the circuit or coaching within the circuit, and they might see an idea that Tommy does, for example, this week. It might be a pick-up roll lift drill. And now all of a sudden, I'm practicing that at home and I'm feeling more comfortable trying things at sessions or creating little activities at training. So that's one way we always say to get people involved is by getting them setting up that little nursery circuit and having a fun game within that, and ask the new coach to do that.
So we just have another one there. Identify recently retired players, new people living in the community, make them feel welcome and a value to the club. Right. Ranking from participants. Oh, that's the first of 4, 7. Yeah, so that's the same thing again from earlier on.
Perfect.
So 4, 7, and 8.
Perfect. Is there any of these roles that you want advice on or want to ask any questions on out of the 14 that are there? Is there anything there that you'd like information on, or go, Jesus, how can I get my head around that, or how can I get into that?
Just have another one in there, Thomas, again.
Yeah.
Try to spread the level of coaching abilities that you have across all age groups, i.e. not having loads of experienced coaches with one group and little experience with another, which I think that's a very good idea there.
Yeah, brilliant. So GDAs and Leinster selected their top 3 that they feel like are the most important. So liaise with the county coaching and games development committee and coaching officer, recruit key personnel within clubs, so coaches and mentors, club school liaison officers, and support the implementation of team training programs in accordance with the player pathway and that are appropriate to the stage of development of teams and players. So these were the top 3 roles that GDAs taught, or the top 3 roles for coaching officers that the GDA thought were important. If that makes sense. Okay, so again, liaison with the county development staff. So there, in that case, it's if you want any upskilling, courses, tourist workshops. Okay, again, the next thing, recruiting key personnel within clubs. So again, if you see yourselves there, someone just said that the under-10s lack experience in terms of coaching, that might be asking someone from the minor team maybe can come down and give a hand with the under-10s, finding someone to fill that gap or fill that void. Okay, we'll find that coaching officer, as a coaching officer, that's one of the biggest roles we have. We'll always know in clubs that we can never have enough people helping, and there'll always be that one age group we're kind of worried about, that we only have maybe 2 mentors with that age group. So it falls back on the coaching officer to find that mentor to fill that gap. And then I suppose as the coaching officer, you're the eyes and ears for the club. So when it comes to making sure that trainings are appropriate and that the activities being covered in the training sessions are appropriate for each age group, kind of comes back to the coaching officer to be the person surveying that, okay, keeping an eye on that. Again, can be hard for the coaching officer because sometimes you might be friends with the under-10 coach, you might feel that he's doing stuff that are way too advanced. Common one you might see is that you could have 35 kids at training session, and what we see is a 17-on-17 game to finish training, instead of having maybe 4 sevens going. Okay, or maybe 6 sevens going, sorry. So maybe having 3 games going side by side, having a mini little blitz going at the end training. But instead we go with the 17-on-17. And it's a hard thing for a coach. It's hard thing for coaching officers to come over and say to somebody, but you have to remember you're doing the best interest of the club. Okay, you're having a look going, right, does the 15-on-15 game here work best for our under-10 team? Or could we have 2 little 6-a-side games going, or 3 little 6-a-side games going here, and everyone's getting more touch to the ball? Okay, so it kind of comes back on the coaching officer to be the eyes and ears for the club at training sessions. Tommy, anything you want to come in on that?
No, just definitely that. Look, as Thomas said, you are the eyes and ears, and you probably with this job you might fall out with people when you see some sessions, but it is the best interest of the players and the club. Again, the one thing you would see across the county is big sided teams, like as Thomas said, you have 10-on-10 or 15-on-15, which is no good for any player. You want small sided games all the time, especially for our youth development. Okay, so don't be afraid that, look, just go through to your Taurus. The Taurus is there, that it's testing and challenging for all players all the time. And that's what we want. Small sided games, lots of touches for every player. So your job, it is a big enough job, but like at the end of the day, you're only doing it to benefit the club and the players that are there.
Thomas, just there, Darren here.
Yeah.
Hello, Thomas.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, here, yeah.
Anyway, guys, yeah, just on that, I suppose as coaching officers, we got to ask ourselves the question is that, you know, where do we want to end up? Our role within Westmeath as GDAs, and I suppose your roles in the clubs is, you know, where do we start? We need to start with the end in mind. So where do we want to get to, and then work back from there. So for ourselves as GDAs, and we would have had many conversations around what we're doing and where we're going, and like that, you know, the end product we want to, you know, the Westmeath club players coming through and competing at the high levels and consistently, you know, every year. So what we need to do is that, well, how do we compete consistently, you know, for at the top level with these teams? Is that what are we doing now currently within our club? Start there, and in 20 years time, that's where we want to be, is competing. So it's where we want to be is competing in 20 years at the top, but what are we doing now in our clubs and day to day? So as coaching officers, we have to keep the big picture in mind for your own clubs and keep a focus on that, and everybody is aligned to where you want to go, and the conversations are steered around, okay, as a club we want to, let's say, win a championship in, you know, in the next couple of years, you know. So it's how do we work towards that? What do we need to do as club coaching officers, and what do we want to do from a day to day on the ground? Because sometimes as coaching officers, and like ourselves, is that we get stuck because we're managing teams. We're down, we're in the weeds, and we're down to the grassroots, and we're you know, doing a great jobs, but fundamentally we have to kind of stand back as coaching officers and see the bigger picture, you know, and give direction and give guidance and communicate, you know, what maybe the club's mission statement would be, what are the values of the club. So that is, as a coaching officer within your clubs, is to communicate that to anyone, whether it's a new person to the club or someone that might be an old stalwart in the club that maybe have been set in their ways. But it's a common goal, and like that is to stand back, you know, have the end goal in mind, and all is working towards that. So having a common goal and a common purpose. I know that's kind of hard because we're busy day to day, but like that, as coaching officers, going down, you know, how we getting on, even dropping everything and then just going down and looking at another team, how are they getting on, just, you know, just building rapport, you know, with your fellow teammates, with your fellow members of your club. So just that would be a point that I'd make, is that as coaching officers, seeing the bigger picture, you know, and what are we doing on a day to day, and kind of removing ourselves from the day to day and seeing the bigger picture and keeping it in focus then as well at the same time. Sorry, lads.
Oh, perfect. Right. Thanks for coming in there. So the next part we're looking at is the skills and qualities of coaching officers. So the selected skills and qualities. Now, these are just a little snapshot of what skills and qualities a coaching officer needs, but interpersonal skills, so listening and being able to communicate. So first part of that would be listening to what problems coaches are having. Okay, so being that shoulder for the coaching officer to lean on, or for the coaches to lean on. Okay, then when we're listening, how can we help them in that case? It might be getting them coaching. It might be putting them in touch with someone who's good in that area. Okay, communicating, how we communicate to them. Again, if we go back to that 15 on 15 issue, if we come in here going, Jesus, what the hell are you doing 15 on 15? We know we're going to be met with resistance. So it's how we communicate that. So it might be, Jesus, have you ever thought about doing 6 on 6 there? We get low touch of the ball. It might be something going, counting someone there, counting how many touches they get in the 5 minutes of that 15 on 15 game. If we can show the coach, look, little Jimmy there got 2 touches of the ball in that 5 minutes. Put him into 6 on 6 there and see how many touches he gets. In that sense, it's not coming across as that forcefully. It's probably coming across in a nicer way. Again, know the coaches, know the game. So know our coaches, know how we can talk to them. Know the game, know what we're coaching within the game. Okay? Our IT skills. So our IT skills are probably printing out our team sheets, having all that resources there available, being able to show the coaches how to use the learning.gaa website, okay, and being able to reach out for support. So if there's certain areas that coaches need a bit of upskilling in, don't be afraid to reach out to people. There's enough people out there nowadays that are only mad to help. Okay, so again, you're reaching out, could be reaching out to someone on Twitter nowadays, great place to get information. It could be emailing a coach, could be emailing one of the GDAs, could be anything like that. Okay, so what we want you to do, take a couple of minutes and answer the 4 questions in front of yourselves. So what is your club doing well consistently? What is your club doing poorly? What is your club doing well occasionally? And what is your club not doing that it should be doing? So we want you just to write down and prioritize the key initiatives you think that you're doing well consistently, that you're doing well occasionally, doing poorly, and not doing that you should be doing. Okay? So we'll just give you 3 or 4 minutes to think about that yourselves and write them down.
Again, this part here, we're not trying to find out if your club is doing really bad, or we're not trying to point out one club. It's just for yourselves to think about, what are we doing well? Like, every club is doing something well. What are we doing poorly that we can really improve on? Again, every club in the country can do that. All right, so we're not trying to find out that, oh Jesus, Castlepool are doing something really bad. Okay, it's not like that. It's just for yourselves, that something we can work on over the next couple of months. Is it maybe that our coaches aren't up to the standard, right? That can we get them on more courses? Not that there's loads of webinars on nearly every evening online. Can we get more coaches on that? Could be something really small like that. So just think about it yourselves.
Lads, Niall O'Brien here again. I've often heard where people are maybe sometimes too busy to do a coaching course or whatever, and with the new ways that we're doing things now is the perfect opportunity maybe to do an online foundation course or whatever, and at least then that this guy might or man or woman might have been too busy up to this to do the coaching course, but if they do it online now, the children will get the benefit of it when we get back out on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As Niall, you're right there. Like, there's people working still, but there's a lot of people not working. And there's so much courses online, and there's so much resources there that in the evenings that you could do it. Okay, you're not going to be out coaching. So say if you have coaching on a Tuesday evening normally with your club from 7 to 8, now Tuesday evening 7 to 8, I could actually do something online. So this is the time that we can actually do these things.
And I suppose just adding to that, the bits we've done so far, we would have done maybe 7 or 8 foundation courses so far, and most of them have been well attended online. I think we've had maybe 13 or 14 in each one so far. So there is a bit of an appetite there for them. So if there is people within your clubs that do want them, don't hesitate to let us know, and we can facilitate it whenever suits.
Yep, exactly.
So what we'll do is, you can finish that activity later on yourselves anyways, just to get you thinking on having a little think tank there and where you'd like your club is at and where it could go. Okay, so what we will get you to do is, just in the chat, share something that your club has done really well in the last 12 to 24 months in from a games development point of view. So if you want to put that in the chat, feel free.
Just a question, there are costs to the courses, to the webinar courses. Most of them are free. There might be a couple that there is a cost, but any of the Leinster ones, they're nearly all free, and any of the ones that we're doing over the next month are all free. So every Wednesday for next month we'll be doing courses. So they're all free.
Yeah, look, there would be everything that we do would be free, just in these times. So anything that we can do to assist clubs when we get back and going, look, we'll keep everything. And if there's any costs incurred, it'll be very minimal. But generally speaking, we try and keep everything free in the current times as well.
Yep, perfect.
Sure. So what we'll do is, if you share one thing your club has done really well in the last 12, 24 months in the chat, that would be great. And Tom, if you see something coming in there, you might ask you about it, or if people don't mind sharing it, it'd be great to hear how you implemented it.
So Shane here is doing well, having good coaches lined up, doing poorly, looking at people moving to an area to become involved. Looking at new people. Something's moving down on me. Doing well occasionally, having mentors meetings, that's really good. Not doing what we should. Follow up with coaches on more regular basis. Listen to various problems that may occur. Okay, so that's a big one there. As Thomas said, like you are kind of the person, the shoulder to cry on if there is problems. But just being able to listen, it's a hard thing to do. But you have to be. You are that person. Where are we here? It's moving on.
Even on that, the person you had there about having the club meetings every so often to hear coaches, would that person even share how they do them, or is it like a formal thing? Is it an informal thing?
So that was Shane Carroll there.
If you don't mind, Shane, turn on your mic. If you don't mind discussing it, if you have a mic there, just so that people hear how you got around doing that idea or starting that idea.
Well, keep going.
Mic there. Yeah, no, is there any more there, Tommy?
There's loads here, yeah. So session organisation, so that's good. Got senior players to facilitate coaching different age group, good as well. Establishing strong links with the school in the locality, that's really good, that's what we want. Structured school coaching. Senior players coming in to speak to the underage group, letting them know how hard work pays off, brilliant. Introduce new players at different age levels and integrate them well with groups already in place. Very good. Just moving on again. Doing well, getting new people in and getting them trained up to standard and got senior players involved. Really put a lot of time into our underage girls structure, retaining young players from grade to grade and creating a pathway for players to progress. So that's what we want to do. Shane Carroll said he can talk now. I'm just going down through them.
Perfect. Do you want to come in there, Shane? That's sorry.
Sorry, the mic was unmuted there. The secretary of the club would just put a message out and organise a date.
Yeah.
And we'd all go up maybe 2-3 times of the year, at the start of the year or at the end of the year, just voice our concerns, voice our opinions, and just have it out in the room. Have a look at if some age group was having a shortage of coaches or something. We tried to bring in a player. We tried to bring in more help. The same with the nursery. We'd kind of put somebody in charge to try to recruit for the nursery. Probably someone who's stepping away that might know new people coming in. Just various little things like that.
So it's a kind of formal thing you organise as a club then to do every, say, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, probably a bit less. Probably about every 6 months. We do it maybe once a year, once in the middle, and then definitely a review at the end of the year.
Brilliant. And sorry, I know I'm asking a lot of questions on this here now. I think there's such great things, the community practices, but like yourselves, do you find it beneficial yourself as a coach?
I do, yeah. Well, as I said, I'm only a new coach of the last 4 or 5 years, so we've done a lot of courses with yourself and Darren over the last few years, and you're getting new ideas.
Yeah.
And you're passing them on to the older coaches who, I don't mean in a bad way, might be stuck, you know what I mean, they're all in their own way of doing things.
Of course. So. I suppose it's also a great thing, even getting the answers from within the room of your own coaches, of your own club members as well. Like, I suppose it kind of creates that bit of a bond if you can ask that question, someone can give you an answer now, you know, that type of way.
Oh, definitely. Like some people might be afraid to ask a question, but when there's a good interaction going on, they'll throw their questions out there and solutions will be found to the various problems that we have.
And like a lot of the time, probably the coach ahead of you has had that problem before. You just mightn't have heard it before.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But as I said, it's by doing courses like this, you're getting new ideas, you're getting feedback from other clubs, and it's just not being afraid to voice your concerns in when you're with your own mentors.
Brilliant. Yeah, I get you. No, thanks a million for that, Shane. It's just hearing it from people that are actually doing it or actually doing it. It just makes it a whole lot more. The message coming across is a lot better from if you get what I mean. So thanks a million for sharing that, Shane.
No problem. Thank you.
Cheers, Shane. There's just a few more, Thomas. Ronan Brackenside holding coaching meeting as well, so they're obviously doing the same, doing poorly, working with coaches, teams, pointing out areas of improvement. So that's what they need to do. Doing well occasionally, focusing on player development as opposed to winning games. That's very good, and not doing what we should be. Just a few more now. Where are we? Getting potential coaches and courses, upgrading the facilities. Running Turling Street Leeds blitzes, mixing the boys and girls with the senior players, both codes managing teams, training section structured consistently of times, locations, better organisation, obtaining equipment, good coaches at each age group, more ex-senior players getting involved, doing well, improving the club facilities to offer more people, and poorly initiating local blitzes, concentrating on structured training and develop of core skills, a good lead coach at each age group. Okay, so a good lead coach at each age group is a really good one as well.
Just on that, like some really good things coming in, and one of the things I would have introduced in to the clubs that I worked with as a full-time coach was within that you do have good league coaches and you have assistant coaches that will come in and help out. One of the things that actually really helped them, and you could try this if you don't have it already, is an administrator with the group. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone that has to coach, but someone that could definitely take on maybe the texting or communications with a team when the matches and communicating when matches are on, you know, and liaising with the coach and sharing that load. The feedback that I would have got from coaches, like the administrator plays a massive role in taking that burden there. So it's not just a one person taking on everything. So at least then, you know, if some of us are familiar with the team or apps, that if you've got the players who are available for the weekend, giving it to the coach prior to that, and then at least they've got the teams picked. Like if you've got a group of 20, 30 and you've got to pick a number of different teams, it can kind of help with that. So I think that's just something that if you can introduce into your club within the structures of your team, it would hugely help.
Brilliant. And again, I suppose coaching officer, it's trying to find that person who would be that administrator for each team. Could be a parent, could be something like that. So that would be where the coaching officer comes in on that.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So I suppose the next thing that we have there is a self-evaluation tool that we suggest that coaching officer carry within the club. So again, some of you might have gone through the Becco. This is kind of similar to the Becco, but it's something for yourselves to look back on, and it gives you an action plan of where you can improve things. So you'll see here there's coaching and games. The first section is coaching and games development, and the first thing is coaching structure. So it's kind of hard to make out here, but we can send it on to you afterwards. But you'll see here the first question is coaching and games development is given a high priority within the club. So the first thing is in place. Next one is needs more attention. Next one not in place, and then last one's don't know. So what you do is you go through it and tick it off. Okay, then at the end of it, when you've ticked off the questions, you go into your key strengths and identify your gaps. So you might look at, right, the things that are not in place. So you don't have this club mightn't have a children's coach or a club coaching officer. So we might go and go, right, priority would here be, or identified gap here would be, we need to appoint a club coaching officer. Okay, the key strengths might be that coaching and games is given a huge priority in the club. Okay, that the club are really focusing on development of the underage. Okay. The next thing would be the games. So you see again a list of questions on games. Are they in place? Need further work? And not in place or don't know. Okay, and again, similar again, the coaching, each team receives regular coaching sessions. The coaching provided by the club is of a high standard. Coaching sessions are well planned by the coach. Programs and plans are reviewed regularly. The club provides a coaching pathway to allow all players to develop. Players receive regular skill tests. Coaches provide regular feedback to players on their progress. Coaches give feedback to parents on their progress. There is a good balance between participation, skill development, and enjoyment and winning within the club. And the club has a presence in local schools, and the opportunity to play Gaelic games is provided to all the children in the community. So again, definitely within that one, it's probably one for the coaching officer to be down looking at the sessions and seeing how it is going. So again, the under-12 coach might fill this out and might fill it out, geez, everything's in place. Okay? But when you're looking at it from a neutral point of view, or from kind of the outside looking in, you might go, right, programs and plans are reviewed regularly. Does it look like that? In your opinion, you might go not in place. Whereas the under-12 coach is actually in the middle of that, might go, that is in place. So again, this is probably something for the coaching officer to lead, okay, and drive with. It's a great project for coaching officer to drive then afterwards. So again, coach education, communication, code of best practice and code of behavior, facilities and development. Again, finance and fundraising. So what we do is we fill out this, work out which are our main things we want to get from it, and then we write down our key priorities. So if we go on to the next one, here, this is one that's kind of been done out. So give out the self-evaluation tool to 2-3 people to complete. Have a sample of opinions as to where things currently stand in the club. So the outcome sought is to have a sample of opinions, okay? The milestone will be to have 4 complete self-evaluation templates. So you want 4 people to have it done. The timescales when you'd like to have it done by, which will be, in this case, the 2nd week of February, and it's the responsibility of the coaching officer. So if we go down to the third one there, so the third action is identify 10 to 12 priorities to present to the larger coaching group, okay? So the outcome sought, be in a position to present to the larger coaching group. Be ready, the milestone, be ready to present the 10 to 12 key areas and process for selecting the same to the wider coaches meeting. The 2nd week of March, and because this is a bigger project, you see here it comes down to responsibility of the steering group and the club coaching officer. So what this really is, it's an action plan or a list of things that a coaching officer can drive within a club, okay? So again, we probably have all these ideas that we'd like to do with our club. Again, we probably all say we want to really improve our underage, but how are we going to improve our underage? So again, we'll do out the action plan of how we're going to improve our underage. So again, the first action might be we want 4 coaches with each age group going through, okay? The outcome saw is to have 4 people. Milestones will be by the end of June or by the end of February to have 4 people lined up, and it's the responsibility of, because that's a big project, be responsibility of the whole club. Okay, does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Again, there's plenty of examples of that there. Again, the resources that are available to coaches. Tommy, do you want to go through this?
Yeah, so just look as the resources that are there, the Learning GAA that I went through, the planner and so on. If you just flicker through the Learning GAA, there's lots of stuff there as well. And just to put it into, if you have a WhatsApp group with your coaches, just to put it in there and let your coaches know that there is courses coming up and so on. Your Leinster GAA website, lots of stuff there, and other provincial websites, so Munster, Connacht and Ulster as well. Okay, so manuals, planning toolkit, so and your course folders. So that's planning toolkit would be just like your planning sessions and session plans. If you are doing session plans for your sessions over the year, it is a good idea to keep them in a folder, because again, if I'm over, say, the under 14s, under 14s this year, I'm moving on to under 16s next year, I can just hand that folder on to the session, the mentor that's moving up, and now they have the full year planned ahead of them. Okay, and then people, so the full-time staff, that's ourselves, all the GDAs. If you ever need anything, again, look, yeah, all our email addresses are there, phone numbers. Just pop us an email and we'll get back to you if we do need, if you can do anything for you. County boards and Niall O'Brien is there as well. Each other, so your community of practice. Hopefully you found this beneficial tonight. Just from putting in, it's great to get the interaction, and thanks very much for that. It gives us an insight into what's going on in the clubs as well, and what we could offer to FRE, and then other club officers. Look, I'm sure everyone on the call here would have no problem having their email address. Pop someone else from another club. How are you getting on? What are you doing? Okay, look, at the end of the day, we're all there trying to grow the GAA and keep as many kids playing GAA as possible. All right. And Darren actually put in there into the text. He shared that self-evaluation sheet for you. Okay, so we'll share all.
Just in there. Sorry, Tommy. There, just I say that whoever doesn't have a GAA that logged into GAA kind of email, they won't be able to get the share points there. So I see Ronan just after coming in. So what we'll do is we'll share it by email as well to those if the links weren't happening there for you. So we will share this webinar along with the material then as well. Like that, it'll also be still on this live chat then as well for ourselves. So just to be sure that we'll send that on.
Exactly. Perfect. So I know we kind of said we'd be an hour and we're literally on the button there the hour. So I hope you got some stuff from today's course. If there is any questions, if anyone has any questions, we'll be staying on this for a few minutes anyway. If anyone has any questions they want to ask us at all. Thanks a million for everyone taking part, and thanks for Darren, Tommy and Niall for presenting this tonight. So thanks a million to the lads there for doing that, and thanks a million to everyone for interacting with it tonight, and thanks a million to Shane there for coming in at that point there.
So just there, Thomas, I just want to share my screen if that's all right for a second. Give me a second.
Darren, when you're doing that, I just want to reiterate what Tom said there and thank everyone for joining in. Can I just say as well, we spread the word. You know, there's 3 more webinars there, Darren. You have actually shared it there now. 3 more webinars over the next 3 weeks. So as I say, it's only an hour on a Wednesday evening. So spread the word amongst your own club. There's no cost. As you can see, it's a pain-free operation. It's literally clicking a link and you're here, and it's an hour. So thanks to everyone who joined us tonight. Thanks to the lads for putting it all together. Tommy, Bernie, Thomas and Darren, and thanks again for all your work. And any questions there, bang them into Tommy and Thomas.
Thanks, Niall. Look, as you can see there, look, I just shared my screen. So obviously we started with this. So we were just kind of building our way through the month of May. So obviously starting with yourselves and communicating what webinars are coming up over the next few weeks. So you can see there, our next step will be looking at maintaining a club nursery from 4 to 7. So we will be looking at the club nursery and how giving you, valuable tips, based around the tourist principles, and actually giving you a 7-week plan that we'll share with you that you can implement within your own club, and it has videos with it as well, so it's quite interactive. And some of the things that would have come up on this webinar and what you would have said is that getting more people involved within your club, and an awful lot of, and it starts with those 4 or 5 year olds, the new parents coming in, and a lot of the games are doing an awful lot of one-to-one stuff. So that's what's next week for a webinar. You can see then after that, then we're building up then from 7 upwards. We're looking at our Go games and everything around Go games that we need to know as a clubs and the coaches that are there. So it's important that anybody that's involved with Go games to get on that webinar, because we will be talking about the playing rules, talking about pitch sizes, talking about blitzes, giving you tips, crucial tips that you will need, when you do go out and host blitzes, or when you're visiting blitzes. And then the last one, then we're focusing in then towards the youth, then where Kieran is taking that, giving you material around S&C, what to do with young players as they develop, as they go through their growth spurts, and just simple things that obviously they can be doing at home. I know there's an awful lot out there, but any questions in and around S&C, the do's and don'ts, that's the prime opportunity for coaches within your club to understand these and to communicate the right message that's out there. And like that, you can see that's what we're trying to build here, is an overall picture, building through our steps. And for us as GDAs and as Westmeath kind of coaches, is that we're looking to, I suppose, build a rounded player that comes through the clubs. So when we actually get them at development squad level, that we don't have to do as much basic skills with the guys, that we don't have to focus on that area. We can actually talk about how we would like to play. So us as GDAs, the more work that you do, the easier our job becomes at the top end, at the elite level. What Thomas would have said in the player pathway is looking at that elite level, where the 1%, achieves themselves, is getting them up there and representing Westmeath. So look, as Niall said, and look, I just want to say thanks to Thomas and Tommy there, and Bernie, you're working in the background there, and to everyone that's joined the call. And like that, if you're not the club coaching officer directly, you're on the call because you play a crucial role within your club. But look, we just can't stress enough how important this is, and for you to engage with us as much as possible. Like, you know, we will give any amount of help that we can, you know, to clubs, or any amount of resources, and give you the direction that, you know, that I suppose that clubs might need if they're, you know, stuck. So look, don't be afraid to reach out at any time. You know, you have all our information, and like that. Thanks again for the guys and logging on, and, you know, stay safe in these times. And if there's anything in the chat there, Tommy, just